These are notes on the excretory system. So they're basically exactly what we've done before. And so I'm going to diagram where everything is, and then you can go ahead and fill in the diagram as you go, but make sure you label everything. So the first thing you'll notice on the excretory system diagram over here is the skin is actually part of the excretory system. And you're not going to draw that, but here, label the word skin. So we've got skin here. And then the next part that we've already talked about is the lungs. But now we're going to talk about them in the context, so referring to the excretory system. So I'm going to put my lungs in here. There are my lungs, and here I can kind of branch them up. There we go, through the trachea, and then of course I'm going to label it. I'm going to say lungs. So go ahead and pause the video and do that. Then moving down, we have the liver. And again, the liver's another one that we've already had. We had the liver as part of the digestive system, but it's also part of the excretory system. So we're going to label that. I'm going to say liver for that. Then continuing on with organs we've already had, we have the large intestine. So that kind of comes over here and kind of like that. There's the large intestine. And then we have what actually is a subsystem by itself. It's called the urinary system, from the word urine, but also part of the excretory system. We have the kidneys and the bladder. So the kidneys are two little like knob-shaped things on either side. And in fact, some of you on your circulatory diagrams had capillaries going specifically to the kidneys, like this. So some of you, if you look at your circulatory systems, you'll see that there were kind of two little blobs of capillaries that was specifically going to the kidneys, kind of branching off some of these major arteries here. And then those kidneys go into the bladder. So we're going to do this, and then here is the bladder. Okay, oh, sorry, I forgot to label. So these are the kidneys. This is the large intestine, and this here is the bladder. So go ahead and pause that and draw it and label it. So before we go through all of those organs, it might be helpful to stop now and figure out overall what the excretory system is. So looking at that additional question, like what's the overall function or purpose of the excretory system, but you also might be able to figure it out by listening to what all the organs do. So I'll leave that choice up to you. So the first one is skin. So the reason skin is part of the excretory system is because it's where sweat is released from the body. So sweat comes out all over your skin, and it brings with it some dissolved minerals, sometimes a few toxins, but the skin, the reason it's part of the excretory system is because that's where your sweat is released. So then the liver, as we said in the digestive system, the liver helps to break down or digest fats, but it also removes toxins from the body. So toxins are hazardous chemicals. So let's write that in so that we know what I mean when I say toxins. They're chemicals that are bad for us. And some of you who take like Tylenol a lot or Advil a lot, it will say on the side of the bottle that you shouldn't take more than a certain amount within 24 hours. And the reason is because some of the stuff in those medicines that actually aren't good for us end up getting stored in the liver and can lead to liver damage. Also, if people drink too much alcohol, their liver starts to break down. That's called cirrhosis. And so the reason it's always the liver is because the liver is what's pulling out the toxins from our body. So again, remember to pause the video and write that down and then move on to the next organ. Then we have the kidneys. So the kidneys filter the toxins and water from the blood. So the liver removes the toxins from the things we eat, and then the kidneys filter any toxins from the blood, but also filters water from the blood. And the reason the kidneys also filter water is because then that creates urine. So urine is the fancy word for pee. And the reason urine is so important is because then all of these toxins are dissolved in the urine and you pee them out. And so that's why the kidneys create urine, because then that's a way to get all of these toxins out of the body. After the kidneys, though, the urine goes to the bladder, which stores the urine until you have enough that you feel that you need to go to the bathroom, or you're simply sitting in class and feel the need to leave. But the bladder it's very elasticy. So think of it almost as like a balloon where it can expand and it can contract. And then when it gets full enough, you go to the bathroom and you urinate. And all of that water and toxins that have been filtered by the kidneys come out of your body. So the lungs then expel, and expel means to get rid of, carbon dioxide. So we don't often think of carbon dioxide as a waste product, but it is. Remember, our bodies, think about the respiratory system, take in oxygen and they give off carbon dioxide. The reason that we give off carbon dioxide is because our bodies don't need it. And we're talking about waste in our bodies. We're talking about things our bodies don't need. And then finally, we have the large intestine, and that, remember, is what transports the solid waste to the anus. And then after the anus, you again go to the bathroom and you go poop in the toilet. And so the bladder is where the liquid waste goes, and the large intestine is where the solid waste goes. You can think of the lungs as where the gas waste goes. The liver removes any chemicals that come out of, are pulled out of what we're eating. And then the skin is where the sweat is released. So the liver only removes things that end up kind of mixed in with our food nutrients. Anything else will come out of us. So as an interesting story, last year on St. Patrick's Day, one of the teachers brought in green bagels for everybody. And as we were eating them, I was joking that the next day all of our poop would be green, because it was such an artificial chemical that it didn't get mixed in with the nutrients, and it just went through our large intestine. And of course, teachers have to share too much, and I probably had 3 or 4 teachers the next day come and find me and want to tell me how green their waste was that day when they went to the bathroom. So you can actually see chemicals that your body can't use come out in your solid waste or poop. All right, so these are all of the functions. You should be able to figure out what the excretory system does at this point, but if you can't, just go ahead and look it up. Have a good day.